Hello, Destiny Navigators. Welcome back to Foster Your Destiny, where we chart a course from surviving to thriving. Today's affirmation is, you're not difficult. You were simply planted in soil that didn't know how to nourish you. I want to talk about how we reclaim our power when we've been silenced, gaslit, watched, and controlled. This is about what happens when love is weaponized. And this is also about how we respond with truth, clarity, and sometimes wit. When I was a kid, I was thinner, but I was really strong. I learned to move furniture around in my bedroom because I enjoyed having a different space, having a different scenery, but it wasn't just to decorate, it was to reclaim the control in that space for myself. I remember using a bureau to block the door, and it helped me to feel safer because my environment was chaotic. And I'm not suggesting this to anybody, and I want to be mindful of triggers, so this is your trigger warning, but this is part of my story, and I'd just like to share that with you. Just recently, I caught myself doing something similar and blocking off part of my window that somebody was able to see through, and it set me off again a little bit, so I had to be mindful of those triggers. And in the past, I had a foster mother who used to go into my room and change things around while I was in school, simply so that she could have the control over the environment. She knew this bothered me. We talked about it. I tried to set a healthy boundary, but unfortunately, it was love disguised as control. She told me that it was for my good and for my health, but other adults who were healthy helped me recognize that this was weaponized love. According to the National Foster Youth Institute, over 23,000 youth age out of the foster care system each year in the U.S., and many are left without support like housing or family. A lack of support can lead to further PTSD, CPTSD enhancement, anxiety, and chronic health issues. Children from the foster care system often experience dynamics that mimic what Judith Herman, MD, describes in her seminal book, Trauma and Recovery, as chronic trauma within intimate relationships, where love is used as a method of coercion or control. Weaponized love can be likened to what psychologist Lundy Bancroft explores in Why Does He Do That?, where control and manipulation masquerade as concern. The term also overlaps with concepts in The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, MD, which highlights how childhood trauma creates patterns in the brain and body that affect how we interpret love and trust and safety. I'm still getting through this book, so if you guys have read it, let me know in the comments below. It's also common for former foster youth to have been raised in homes where privacy was discouraged, control was constant, and boundaries were viewed as defiance. And I saw that time and time again as a social worker and someone working in human services on the other end. According to trauma-informed therapeutic models, this is known as coercive control. I am not a therapist, I'm just sharing some of my ideas, but this is a dynamic where emotional needs are consistently ignored or punished. Survivors often develop fawning behaviors, prioritizing others' needs out of survival. And this term comes from Pete Walker's book, Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving. One way to begin reclaiming your power is through mirror work. And I don't just mean standing in the mirror repeating affirmations, although that is helpful, though it can be important. I mean the kind of mirroring that reveals dysfunction. If someone guilt trips you, asks you, would you say the same thing if I were visibly wounded or sick? If someone surveils or tries to control your emotions, you respond with calm presence or strategic silence. Sometimes you even use humor, and we reflect the dysfunction going on around us so that we don't become a part of that dysfunction. Remember, we are actively trying to heal. Passive aggression is one of the most confusing and damaging forms of weaponized love. I've experienced this, and it's when anger or control is expressed indirectly through silence, sarcasm, subtle digs, instead of clear communication. It could be changes in the environment that cause a negative impact to yourself. What passive aggression looks like to a child or foster youth. Let's imagine this, a child who asks the caregiver for help with homework, and the caregiver sighs loudly, rolls their eyes, or mutters, "I'm too busy for this." Or a youth shares a success, and adult replies, "Well, that's really not a big deal," with a smile and doesn't reach their eyes. So it's not a genuine smile. Or they might experience the silent treatment after breaking a rule where no explanation or conversation happens, like, "Make sure you close that cabinet door." Just cold withdrawal. These behaviors communicate disapproval and control without safety or clarity, and can make you feel like you can never do something right. This is how passive aggression harms socially and emotionally. According to attachment theory, Bowlby Ainsworth, children develop secure relationships when caregivers are responsive and consistent. Passive aggression breaks that trust. It creates an environment where youth feel uncertain and anxious because they don't know where they stand or how to please the adult. This can create hypervigilant constantly. They're scanning their environment for hidden meanings or mood shifting. They may have low self-esteem or worth, as indirectly the negativity erodes their confidence and self-esteem. Socially, they may withdraw or engage in conflict, either avoiding relationships or reacting defensively, overreacting due to expected manipulation. Developmental psychologist Erik Erikson describes the stage of industry versus inferiority, where children build competence through accomplishment. Passive aggression undermines this by dismissing or mocking efforts, causing lasting feelings of inferiority. Here are some steps that you can take to combat passive aggression for youth and caregivers. Name it. Help the youth to recognize that those passive aggressive behaviors, when it happens, are not their fault. Saying things aloud like, "I feel like you're upset," but not saying it directly. This validates their experience and reduces confusion. Model the healthy communication. Teach the youth to express their own feelings clearly, such as, "I'm frustrated because," rather than using silence or sarcasm. And for caregivers, you should also practice this transparency. Create safe, predictable environments. Youth need spaces where their feelings are heard and respected without feeling like a burden or like they have judgment or retaliation coming down the way for them just being themselves. This fosters emotional safety and reduces anxiety. And the fourth thing is empower strategic responses. Show youth they have the right to set boundaries or use strategic silence when faced with passive aggression. Sometimes not engaging with manipulation protects their emotional well-being. If somebody moves the vase, don't move it, just leave it. It's okay to give up that battle. Encourage emotional literacy, using tools like journaling, therapy, or role-playing to help when others push your boundaries to the point where you feel like you're compromising, where you feel uncomfortable. You get that feeling in the pit of your stomach like something just isn't right. Pay attention to that. We often overlook the fact that we are physical creatures and that we come from the animal kingdom in the part where we have the ability to pick up chemical senses, and that is what emotions are rooted in, is chemical exchanges of information. And so it's really important that we pay attention to some of those chemical exchanges that our instincts. Keep showing up for love. Keep fighting for belonging. Thank you for listening, healing, and for growing with me. Until next time, stay anchored in your destiny. Keep showing up for love. Keep fighting for belonging.